In this video, I'm going to talk about Erikson as a developmental theorist. Erikson is known for many things, but one thing that he is known for is he gave us the first well-known lifespan stage theory of development. So remember, what does it mean, lifespan? That means the entire lifespan. A lot of stage theories of development end at childhood or end at adolescence. He acknowledged that you are still developing even as an adult. All right, so that's one thing that Erikson is known for. He had a stage theory, so he's talking about discontinuity, at least to some degree. And he had 8 total stages. 3 of them were adulthood stages. The others were infancy, childhood, adolescent stages. And all of his stages were set up to be centered around a psychosocial crisis. And Erikson's stage theory is often called, the psychosocial stages of development. And so, psychosocial. This means that other people are important. Relationships with others are important to one's development. And a psychosocial crisis is sort of this critical experience that determines sort of how you come out of a particular stage to enter the next stage. And so his stages are always worded as something versus something else. Usually something desirable versus something not so great. A characteristic not so great to have, not so beneficial. All right, giving you the very, very basic rundown. So as an example, his first stage is known as trust versus mistrust. All right, so trust, something you want to have. Mistrust, something it's best if that's not your main outlook on life. All right, so trust versus mistrust. The psychosocial crisis, the big thing that happens during this first stage in infancy is learning to trust others to meet your needs. So like if your caregivers, like they feed you when you're hungry, they pick you up and comfort you when you're distressed, they change you when you're dirty, things like that. That helps you develop trust. Getting your needs met helps you develop trust. All right, so that is one example. Now, I'm not going to read you all 8 stages. You can see them in your textbook. They will be covered possibly in other chapters, but definitely in other classes. If you take more psychology classes, it's definitely a good chance you'll learn more about Erikson. Here, I'm just introducing him as a big name in the field. Now, things I want you to know about Erikson. Other big names in the field, like Freud. Remember Freud? Freud and Erikson are technically both under the same umbrella of psychodynamic theories of development. And Freud was very controversial in many ways because Freud emphasized sexuality and bodily urges a lot in his explanations of development. And Erikson said, no, we don't need to do that. Let's just talk about social relationships. But another way that Erikson was different than Freud believed in something called fixation. And this was sort of the idea that you could get stuck in a stage. If you didn't navigate it successfully, you can get stuck. And so you could be acting like a younger, less mature person if you were fixated. Erikson didn't believe in fixation. So he believed, for example, if you didn't develop trust as an infant, you could learn it later. Social interactions and social relationships later in your life could allow you to develop trust. So, one saying I hear applied to Erikson sometimes is it's never too late to have a happy childhood. He did believe that, there was a stage where this tended to develop, but you could have later experiences that allow you to develop it later, essentially. All right, so that's what I want you to know about Erikson.